Alrighty, you guys, so if there was one thing that I did not expect TDS's Null and Void event to do, was fix the Children of Exo. If you've been involved with TDS, you know the Children of Exo were pretty synonymous with being a lackluster and kind of bad villain, but they finally made them actually pretty good. And they did this mainly through giving us a clear reason as to why they're evil, and overall gave us a lot more perspective on who they are. In Night 3 of the event, we find out that they were residents of Trick or Threat Town from Halloween 2020. And whenever I figured that out, I started thinking, and I had a realization that the Children of Exo are not the villains they're cut out to be, but in reality, they're victims. In fact, I would go as far to argue that TDS is arguably morally worse than the Children of Exo, and I'm so excited to share with you guys as to why. So first off, it's time to talk about Halloween 2020 and contextualize who the Children of Exo are and where they come from. Our story starts in Trick or Threat Town, the map that Halloween 2020 takes place in. Trick or Threat Town has been under siege and under rule of a cruel, warlord-like character, Lord Sinister. I'm using the assumption that Lord Sinister is a warlord for a primary number of reasons. First off, the name Lord obviously, kind of goes there, Lord, Warlord, very similar, but also, Lord Sinister clearly has an army. The enemies that we fight inside of the event are very unique to Sinister's army itself. We don't really see anything super similar in other events. The units that we fight inside of Halloween 2020 are literally referred to as Sinister's army. And so I believe that Lord Sinister was a warlord that took control of Trick or Threat Town under the influence of Narrator, who narrates Halloween 2020, and it is also the first time that we see Narrator as a villain. The story of the Children of Exo starts here, where they are citizens of Trick or Threat Town, as we learned in Night 3. And if you know anything about Halloween 2020, where at the very end of this mode, the citizens of Trick or Threat Town unite with TDS to kill Sinister to liberate their town from the hands of this oppressive, brutalist warlord. And during these events, tons of people that lived in Trick or Threat Town died. We literally see this happen in-game as the citizens move down the path, a lot of them end up dying. And so overall, their fight for freedom came at a cost. A ton of people died, and the Children of Exo witnessed this. But at the end of the day, they freed themselves. Or so they thought. See, right after Sinister was killed, TDS leaves. They do not stick around to ensure this part of the world remains stable. They leave and go study the Frost Dimension as we see inside of the Frost Invasion event. They leave to go study science instead of helping out the part of the world where they just opened up a giant power vacuum. If you look to real life, whenever a figure of power dies in a destabilized part of the world, and there is nothing to fill that power vacuum, that area becomes increasingly unstable due to the fact that there is a huge power vacuum and it opens up to a lot of localized fighting to fill that power vacuum. And so TDS leaving destroys Trick or Threat Town. The town falls into ruin, and overall, the entire reputation of Trick or Threat Town is completely destroyed. And the Children of Exo, being either teenagers or young adults at this point, hear this voice of Exo, telling them to unify the God Cube, to get the power to put their disheveled town back together, and get revenge on the people who, abandoned them, who left their town to rot. And so with this, the Children of Exo and Lord Exo himself have a unified goal: assemble the God Cube and destroy TDS for what they did. But in reality, this was all planned by Lord Exo. Lord Exo hired the Narrator to send Sinister after Trick or Threat Town. Exo did this to create people that could be his field operator. People that will rebel against TDS, as Exo was still imprisoned within the cube. He was nothing more than, a threatening voice. And so with this having happened, TDS is trying to assemble the cube, as is Exo. The Narrator does his part. The Children of Exo are created, and they begin to go against TDS, and they begin assembling the God Cube alongside TDS. And then the events of Null and Void transpire, which ends up with Exo being reborn. The Children of Exo are not villains, but victims. They witnessed their town, the place they grew up, under a brutalist warlord regime. Life was bad. But then TDS comes in, and they say, work with us, and you will be saved from Lord Sinister. And so they do, but their trust is betrayed because TDS pulls out of Trick or Threat Town, goes to go study stuff, and Trick or Threat Town falls apart. And frankly, life got worse. Things were bad under Sinister, yes, but at the end of the day, they were alive. And after TDS leaves, the town falls into pure chaos, the reputation gets ruined, and everything goes downhill. And so, they are being exploited by EXO. They are being manipulated to do his bidding on behalf of their tragedy. Whenever you meet Titus in the Hexscape event, he says to TDS, "You guys won't be the ones writing the history books this time." This isn't some, crazed psychopath cultist. That reads like someone who is grieving. Someone who, TDS propagated their win over Sinister as a big win, when in reality, it was a loss. The people of Trick or Threat Town lost everything, and TDS didn't do anything. They want to rewrite history because at the end of the day, TDS is the one that's covering up the true events of what happened. TDS is the one that left them to rot, and TDS is the one that destroyed everything. Sure, Sinister might have been the reason TDS arrived, but at the end of the day, TDS is the one that objectively abandoned them. And so EXO is exploiting them for his own personal game. EXO basically manipulated them into recreating his body, and eventually, in the future of TDS, I am calling it now, we will see the children of EXO realize they have been manipulated. You can actually start to see this in Null and Void. Whenever EXO decides that the Riftwalker's body is not suitable, he immediately turns on the children of EXO, taking over Cronus' body instead. And Cronus, being so blinded by his hatred and revenge for TDS, goes along with it. But you can see Marcellus and Romuald object to what EXO does to Cronus. They are victims, not villains. While I do not believe that the people in TDS are objectively villains, they are ignorant, they are dumb, and what they did ultimately led to EXO's return. The people of TDS are not exactly paragons of a good moral character. I would make the argument that the children of EXO, from their perspective, I would say they are more morally righteous than that of TDS. TDS is a military research organization, which, if you know anything about any fictional game franchise known to man, not exactly a super good motivation. I mean, look at what happens in Null and Void. They're trying to assemble the entire God Cube for personal gain. They hire a convicted war criminal at the end of the Easter event, someone who committed war crimes canonically. They do all of this to benefit themselves of assembling the God Cube. They don't even know what the God Cube can do all the way, and yet they're pursuing it anyways. They are ignorant and risky, and overall are not the moral heroes they are made out to be. Anyways, that's my personal theory. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. Like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe for more assaults. Join that Discord server, link in the description if you are extra cool. But as always and forever, make stuff you're proud of.